This is beautiful sailing. Straighten up there. I'm not sure if the tide's turned. I've been hitting, I saw 4.2 knots on the GPS, and just going along so nice. It's just died off right at the moment, but it's still doing 3 knots. So the wind, I guess the tide's turned. It was meant to be 8 o'clock at the head, so it's just beautiful. What a lovely morning. No clouds for winter, you know. Wow. What do we know? We dropped down to 2.4, and this will, while it's dropping down, it could be that hill. Maybe it was coming through there in a bit of a funnel, or coming over there. I mean, the hills, or am I just being picky and it actually is that fluky that it comes and goes, which is quite probable. Well, who knows actually. When the wind gets very hard to read as it drops, and I think that's why the guys that do real well at racing are the guys that can read it best, you know. In light winds, yeah, there's signs on the water, a few other things, but yeah, no, hey, I've got to say I'm really impressed with the little coronet. It's great, you know, like it's and it's lovely to be out, and being a trailer sailor really it allows me to be out. I mean, if I had a keeler I wouldn't be out right now, so you know, it's really nice to be out. What a lovely morning. I'd kind of like to just stick with you for a minute and just see if the wind picks up, because we're down to 1.7, and I think you can see the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. And in Mangawhai Harbour you get all these stingrays. I often think that's one following the boat, but it's actually the shadow of the boat on the water and the shadow of the dinghy. I'm towing the dinghy because it's too bloody cold to. I want it when I get back. I want to row, and even though I'm going to anchor right in the shore, I still want to bloody I still want to row because I don't want to get more. I don't want to get wet. It's too cold. The water's like, I don't know what it is in degrees. Right. So we're down to 2.1. So actually, must either the tide's just picked up a little bit there, or we're getting a little bit more wind, but I'm too distracted by this, or it's too fickle for me to notice. I mean, when you're talking about a quarter of a knot, so it's 2.2, but it must have turned, because when I was coming, or is it? Or are we just going through the water? You can always tell what the tide's doing if you look at a buoy. So maybe stick with me up to that buoy. We're doing 2 knots, so we'll be there in a moment, and I'll be able to tell you where we're at. But yeah, I've got to get the battens in. I've also got to get this problem sorted. See, I've just got that cord up from the rudder. I've got the rudder right down now. It goes down, which is great. And you really notice when it goes right down, the steering becomes a lot more direct and a lot lighter. I wouldn't have picked that, you know, with the rudder poking up like that. I would have thought that, I wouldn't have thought that makes such a big difference to how heavy it is, which is really interesting. So the shorter a rudder is, the more direct and easier it is. Yeah, that makes sense, because racing yachts have a short rudder, don't they? And if you have a really long rudder, which maybe you do, I'm just trying to think what boats do have a long rudder. Oh, and partly, I dropped you. Partly, to be honest, I'm filling in the time a little bit till we get to that buoy. So if a long rudder like that, the fish have a long rudder. Does that make it? Yeah, it'd be interesting to know, because like they're not H28 up there. I mean, they have long rudders, relatively long rudders. They're not short and sharp. But then again, that's a lot how it sits on the boat, isn't it? It's a really good question. Does anyone know the answer to that? Well, what am I really asking? I guess a short rudder means steering's more direct and more lighter. But a long rudder, like, what does that mean? You know, why do boats have longer rudders? Maybe they just don't. It's just longer boats. But I can think of a few older designs that do. That's interesting. We're nearly at that buoy. We're down to 1.9. I suspect. Are we sailing? I tell you, the other way you can tell if you're sailing, if you're going real slow, is just see if you've got turnage. You know, go back and forth on your tiller. See that? I still have got a little bit, because if I turn, see, like that? So I am still moving. It's not just with the current, because when you're moving with the current, also you can see the back of the water. So this is this is definitely 2 knots through the water. So me suspects that the tide, so what does that mean? Well, here's a bit of wind, we're picking up with 2.4. So what does that mean? Now I'm planning to, this has been a fantastic sail. I'm planning to sail back onto the anchor, and I really get a kick out of not using the motor at all. The greenie in me likes it. Partly it's also just feels like an accomplishment, doesn't it? Because you're like, I sailed on off the mooring, I don't know, it feels good. 2.8, and we come out to the buoy. So what is the tide doing now? Let's see. There's the buoy, 5 knots. Yeah, well, there's no worries about us surpassing that too much. It's not moving either way, really, is it? Look, you can't really see any current. There's the shadow of the sails crossing it. You can't, no, I think there's a little bit of current downstream. Maybe. Not much in it though. But I'm going to have to go, I'm going to have to have my wits, because this is quite narrow through here, and you've got to have your wits about you if you're sailing. My plan is to go up quite close to the boat ramp, and that way I've got to leeward, is that what it's called? I don't know if that's the right, the one where the wind's away from you, room to move, and if it goes to poo, then I'll have room. I've also got an anchor. I'm not overly worried, perhaps I should be, if this wind keeps up. So my plan is get in a bit closer, raise the centreboard. I guess I'll raise the rudder. The great thing about these systems on this one, like on so many but not all, is that they do kick up. So if I do get that wrong, they will kick up. But the problem with that is, I wonder with the centreboard in particular, if it kicks into the sand, yeah, it kicks up, but it sticks you there. And does that mean, does it become hard to wind up? And also, do you collect a whole lot of sand up into the cavity with it? Because that's not particularly favourable, is it? All these things are considerations, so I've got to organise that. I've got to organise the battens, a few other things. I'd like to fly a couple more sails. Perhaps tomorrow morning I'll have the Genoa, because that's a great sail, but it's not overly big. That one I've got on there now, so maybe that Genoa's big. It's good to go through them. But all in all, happy camper. Coming back into the moorings now, dropped right down to 1.5. But I guess I'm coming more into the wind. See, the boats on the moorings should be indicative of the wind direction, because, the other thing is I need to get a wind vane on top of that, because I'm not so experienced that I can feel the wind. I mean, I can feel roughly that it's that way, but having a bit more direction. Also the other thing, when I stop, hey, one of my followers that follows this channel, nice guy in the West Coast, asked me to take a few more photos of the build. So I took it back one, because he's got a coronet, wants to do that. Hey, I'll do that when I stop, and I'll email them to you later on this morning. Anyway, I think this is going well. The wind's picked up a little bit, we're up to 2.2, coming into the moorings. Life is grand, life is grand. Hope you're having a great day. Bye.